Hey folks, in today's video we're covering Dev Diary 158 Wandering Nobles for Crusader Kings 3. This is our first look at the full vision of this DLC. I say full vision, there's not really that much coming in it. I saw the comments on yesterday's video saying this looks like a very small DLC. It is an event pack, guys. You know, that is pretty much all we get in event packs. We just get a bunch of events and then usually like a mini system or something like that. We got the best friends and nemesis system as part of friends and foes, but overall, these are generally just events, and then, as we will see in this Dev Diary, we are getting some like small additions in other systems, which look actually pretty cool. There's a very interesting one around battles that is coming along with this. So yes, we could have that argument. Is it enough content? Does it feel like it was cut out of the last DLC and sold separately? You could argue that fact, to be honest, but anyway, this is going to be the Wandering Nobles DLC, and Snow Crystal is here to give us a rough breakdown of this, and next week they're actually going to go into full detail about the new lifestyle tree. It looks like next week's Dev Diary is going to be where we're going to get all the kind of meat on the bones of what is coming in this DLC. But anyway, let's get into the actual content for today. So the first thing Snow Crystal is going to talk about here is just the vision of this DLC. They do say here with the success of tours and tournaments, they realized that they really wanted to kind of flesh out some things that happened based on that content. I did see some comments yesterday saying this, again, was like a cutout of the Roads to Power, but it does really look like it is more of an addition on top of tours and tournaments and not really focused on Roads to Power. As they say here as well, this isn't just for landless adventurers. It is actually more focused on landed gameplay, but there is parts of this that do work for landless characters. So we were talking about that in yesterday's video, like, is this going to be focused on one or the other, or is it going to be a half split? They do mention here that this is actually more focused on landed characters, but there is going to be landless features as well. But there isn't going to be any unique landless features, no new contracts, nothing locked to the adventurer playstyle, so that kind of cuts that off a bit. Like I said in yesterday's comments on the video, some people saying this looked like it was cut out of the last DLC or something like that. I guess, you know, in theory it could be, we'll never know, but this is more actually focused on landed gameplay, but you will get benefits of this as landless characters as well. And then they do finish this section by saying everything in the DLC kind of engages into all those tours and tournament systems, so traveling, lifestyle, activities, going to places to explore, things like that. This DLC is really, as we've said, like an addition more to tours and tournaments and kind of really fleshing out some of that stuff, and we will see that in the rest of this Dev Diary. But then the next part of the Dev Diary is going to cover the lifestyle edition. So besides the traveling focus, you'll find that in this pack they've added the first new lifestyle since the game's release, as we were talking about yesterday. This avenue of content has remained mostly untouched since the game was first released, except for the adventurer specific perks in Road to Power. That's where they went through some of the old trees and added landless character kind of bonuses to some of the traits there. This is set up like all the other lifestyles in the game, with 27 perks split across 3 lifestyle trees, 3 focuses and 3 traits, and landless perk variants where needed. Again, something we talked about yesterday. It looks like it's going to be a mix of the two, but then the clarification earlier that this is going to be mainly focused on landed characters, but some of those perks are going to have like split use depending on if you are a landless character. One essential philosophy of the new lifestyle tree that they had is that they wanted this tree to be something you actually had to engage with rather than it be a bunch of passive bonuses. So, you know, Martial, for example, a lot of the bonuses there are just make your army stronger, make your knights better, make you better at seduction. It isn't something you actually have to like physically do in the game. They're just passive bonuses you get for places. With this lifestyle tree, they wanted to mix that up and have it be something that you actually had to do something to get. So really making you engage in travel or activities. And if you like that area of the game, you're going to see a lot more of the bonuses in this lifestyle tree because you're actually going to have to like focus on doing that. So as they say here, in that sense, they tried to go for impactful events and bonuses from the perks, but with an opportunity and gold cost. They're going to talk at length about these next week, as I already said. So next week's Dev Diary, probably going to be quite a large one. So it looks like, for example, the Inspector one, you have to be doing the new mini activities, things like that to really go and be an Inspector, and then you get those good bonuses. The Voyager, it is actually about going to places and actually picking up the bonuses from doing things, something that you're actually going to have to put effort in to get the reward from, which is kind of cool, a different change. It is kind of a good way to look at like the 6th lifestyle that isn't focused on stewardship, martial, or something like that. It's a mixed bag one, and I think having this change of focus on it where you actually have to put effort to get the reward from it is a good way to do this as like a all-rounder lifestyle rather than one that is focused on a specific trait or bonus or something like that. But with that, that is the brief overview of the lifestyles. Not really much information there, I guess. You know, we do know now it's more of a go get your reward than a passive one, but I was kind of expecting a little bit more information, but we do know next week we are going to get that. The second major part of this DLC is activities. So in this DLC, they've added 3 new activities, as we found out yesterday, each associated with one of the new lifestyle trees. They are intended to be about the size of a university visit that came with wards and wardens, giving landed rulers more opportunities to travel through their realm or abroad. 2 of the new activities are set in your realm, whereas 1 takes place outside of your borders. I think I was kind of right yesterday. These are like mini versions of the tours. One of the things I've always said about like the tour system is that it's very good, but for a lot of players, you probably don't interact with it that much because once you become a king or an emperor, they are very expensive. I know gold is quite easy to get hold of, but if you're kind of working towards something, if you're always investing in your realm, it is sometimes hard to justify the extreme cost of something versus, you know, building a building, getting more armies, something like that. Whereas it looks like from the ones we've seen here and the information they're going to give us in a minute, these are like mini versions of tours with different bonuses that you can probably do a little bit more often, especially giving you a reward for focusing on this lifestyle, kind of making these like mini versions of those. At least that's what it looks like at the moment. When they created these new activities, one of the philosophies they wanted was for them to be deeply tied to each of the lifestyle trees, synergizing in different ways and playing into the strengths of the lifestyle tree. That way, investing in a lifestyle tree opened up an activity that lets you continue to build down the route. So it looks like from the tree, I'm guessing the first or maybe the second skill point you put in there unlocks the activity. And then for the most part, the rest of the tree just makes that activity better by the looks of it. So you get like the basic version and then the additional points in that tree unlock like further bonuses, maybe allow you to travel further or something like that and really kind of get additional benefits out of focusing on this tree. And with that, they're going to go into the 3 different ones. So the first one is inspection, where you get to choose to travel to a specific part of your realm to ensure that it is well run. You will be able to decide which parts of the realm management you would like to focus on. And then the very interesting part of this is if you travel to a border country, you might even get vassalization acceptance from a neighboring ruler or claims on their land, which is a kind of interesting bonus for this. I guess you're at the border of your realm. I guess the vassalization acceptance is the nearby ruler thinking, okay, he looks like a good ruler, maybe I would join him. And then claims on their lands, I guess you're visiting the border and you're like, I wouldn't mind that bit of land over there. I'll take a claim for that. Thank you very much. And you can see this screenshot here, host an inspection, and you can see all the effects this could give you. So you may get claims, offer vassalization acceptance, taxes, development, control levies, opinion, or popular opinion. So really, as I was saying, like a mini tour of your realm to a certain area of it. And then you get these bonuses, and then the offer vassalization and the claims like an additional bonus that you don't get from a tour. We'll see how often that happens. I don't want it to be where you can like send yourself to the border and then the bonus to offer vassalization is really high. So you just push your realm out relatively easily. We'll see how well it's been balanced once we get our hands on it. The next kind of activity is the monument expedition. This involves traveling to a distant city to see its sights. This allows you to visit specific points of interest where you previously have to drop by them as you pilgrimage elsewhere or even just travel elsewhere. You know, we've all kind of detoured our route to go through one of these areas to pick up the lifestyle bonus and things like that. But this time you can actually pick one of those and do a trip specifically to it. So if you're in England, you can specifically go and visit Hadrian's Wall and then do this kind of mini expedition to visit it and pick up those bonuses. And then whilst you're on the expedition, you can get extra bonuses as well. And you can see here the effects from this. So anticipated rewards is 1 guaranteed skill point and a potential extra skill point, which is pretty good. You can only do this every 3 years, but if you do mash that every 3 years, it's a lot of extra skill points you're going to be getting. Excellent aptitude court positions. That's pretty cool. I guess whilst you're traveling around, you're picking up extra people who are good at certain court positions, and then you can also get some prestige as well. So this is just traveling, coming back. You're going to get all the events whilst you're traveling, and then these additional ones as well. And this is cool, especially as they've said, you can visit any of the points of interest on the map and actually just do a little trip there and back. I think that's a pretty cool addition to the Tours and Tournaments DLC in a way. And then the last one, that is the hike. This is one where you can temporarily leave behind the stress of court life and seek the calm of nature. Shy characters, you poor souls who have been desperately trying to lose stress through feasts, I see you, as they say here. So yes, if you've got a shy character, you can do this and you're actually going to be able to lose some stress that you've built up through all those interactions, which they did nerf recently actually to make them less impactful. But with Host a Hike, you can actually lose stress as a shy character as well by the looks of it. So this is set on a solitary expedition to the hidden corners of the realm. The effects from this are opinion modifiers, stress loss, and fame, and you may get wise man trait or trait experience, which is a nice bonus there as well. So a smaller one here, you do get some prestige, stress loss, opinion modifiers, I guess depending on who you bump into on the way there, I would presume. But they are the 3 activities. A good brief overview there. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I actually quite like these, depending on the cost of them. I think they're going to be a cool addition to the game. And really, as they've said, kind of push you to play the wandering lifestyle as a landed character, which is kind of funny thing to think about. But it is going to push you to use these trees to actually experience this content, which I think is pretty cool, rather than having this open for everyone. I think this is an interesting way to do it. It does lock it behind the DLC. I'm not too happy about that, but I can kind of see what they've gone for to make it so you get like the most out of the DLC by actually, you know, playing that lifestyle tree and things like that. We can argue whether that's good or bad. We could talk about that in the comments down below. The next thing they're going to talk about is actually really cool, is battle points of interest. As a travel focused pack, they wanted to introduce something new for players as they travel around the map. The one they decided on was points of interest focused on battles. This new point of interest will come in 2 forms, dynamically created ones based on a particular battle that happened on the map. So you're doing your battle and then you will potentially get a point of interest appear. Now it doesn't say here how long these last. I kind of hope they're not around forever, because depending on how it's balanced, you could end up like the whole map just filled with points of interest based on battles. So I kind of hope maybe it scales with like how big the battle was or something. Maybe there are ones that stick around for the entire game, or ones that kind of just are around for like 10 years. That could be pretty cool as well, to make you think like, oh, I'll go visit that point of interest and come back before it disappears from the map. Because I don't know, if they stick around forever, the map's just gonna be very full of these points of interest. So I can't imagine that is how it's gonna work. The second part of it is historical ones, which are gonna be set up at the start of the game. For the historical ones, they've added some to all the bookmarks, while some can only be seen in later bookmarks. For example, as you can see here, a related fight over England in 1066. This obviously won't be on the map in 867 because it hasn't happened yet. But you can see here the Battle of Stamford Bridge. Now, the funny thing is like some of these historical ones, like what happens if these rulers don't have this battle in game? I guess it's just there anyway, and it's like a historical one. It kind of makes sense that that's there, but it also kind of doesn't make sense. But I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, if this battle doesn't happen in the game, do you want it to be a point of interest in the game if it didn't happen? I kind of like the fact it's teaching you some history. I've always said that about Paradox games. Outside of the memes of Paradox players learning history from their games, you do actually learn about history in a lot of their games. So I actually like this, giving like historical examples and you getting some kind of reward from that. But if the battle doesn't happen in the actual game, should it appear in the game? Let me know what you think. But anyway, overall, I really like this, especially the dynamic ones. I think that could be really cool, as long as they either disappear or are very, very rare for actually appearing on the map. The next thing they're adding is a toast for your travels. So one minor addition is a new building and core position, primarily for Catholics, but accessible by anyone with a new cultural tradition, which is kind of weird. Wouldn't it be a religious tenant? But I guess not. The building can only be built in a Catholic church by default, but in any city for those who choose to get the cultural tradition. It is intentionally made to have a fair number of county-wide bonuses rather than a holding-specific one, and it also opens the new court brewmaster court position for whoever is in charge of that county. So kind of a weird mix. It's primarily for Catholic churches, but it is culture-bound. Kind of an odd combination there. Again, I think, prefer it to be a tenant. I guess they don't want to kind of like mix up the religious tenant and just have to spend one of the 3 on breweries, but it could be one of the smaller options you get at the bottom. I don't know. It's kind of weird that it's a cultural tradition, but it's mostly focused on Catholic churches. I don't know. To me, that seems a little bit weird of a combination. But anyway, you can see here the brewery's building. This gives you tax per month, development growth. You think it would lower development growth. Everyone's getting drunk there, but it actually makes it better. Control growth and popular opinion as well. And then it obviously upgrades up to a level 8 building as well. And then the new court brewmaster, this actually looks pretty cool. So prestige between 0 and half a month, depending on how good they are. Feast cost reduction, -5 up to -25. And then the rewards from Feast, they're like the inverse of that. They'll get better by 5 up to 25. So that will be good for Feast. They could potentially be 25% cheaper and give you 25% more rewards. And then it does also look like they have 3 potential tasks. They've added these like mini council tasks to a lot of these new positions. And it looks like here there are 3 different ones for this position as well. I guess maybe next week or the week after we'll find out what they do. But they all look like brewery related, or the last one looks maybe a little bit more about food, something like that. But yeah, we'll see more information about that in the future. And with that, that is the end of the Dev Diary this week. As I said, I kind of thought we'd get a little bit more information about the lifestyle perks. But as they say at the end, that is what they're going to talk about next week. So I guess next week we'll get lifestyle perks. The week after we might get some more information on the other minor features of this, and then I suppose, to be honest, it's almost out after that, so I guess that's why we've got a brief overview this week and then most of the stuff next week, and then the last one for a little bit more information about everything that's left. So yeah, that is the end of the Dev Diary this week. As always, hit that like button if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new here. I cover Crusader Kings every week on the channel. I do live streams, cover the Dev Diaries news, we have discussion videos, and I'm also covering EU5 in a very similar manner if you are interested in that game as well. But let me know what you think in the comments down below of this one. I'll see you in the next video.